Okay. We are live, I believe. Audio's working and everything, so I would assume that's working. So today, I'm going to go over a number of things. I covered some of it last Sunday, and today I'm going to go over it again. Thanks. So what we have is, the thing is that most people are not really sure about God. Yeah. So that's a problem for me. Yeah. So the difficulty that the planet is having is that God does exist, and the Antichrist exists, and Christ exists. Yeah. So there's a great deal of process that you're not really aware of, that you think is just news, like Donald Trump becoming president and then becoming the biggest liar we ever faced in history. And the corruption, the stealing before he became president and after, even now. So a lot of times people, because they don't believe in God and they're not real sure about Jesus, and they may turn to Muslim, which is a satanic faith, and they might fall back into Judaism, which is a satanic faith. And unless Judaism is a part of the original Judeo-Christian reality, and Judaism is Christian. Its foundation is that it's a Messiah-oriented, looking for Christ reality. So those that are not Zionist are Jews, and those Jews follow the first Bible, the first Testament, the original Testament, and it focuses on creation and the coming of the Messiah, and the process that is in humanity's process of dealing with the fact that Satan exists and rules humanity. And so that would mean that humanity would have to deal with and cope with Christ, who they would be 100% against. 100% think that he's the most hateful person on earth, going against your freedom, your ability to make choices, make you feel guilty, make you consider, make you maybe even read the Bible and see what he's talking about. All those things are an influence that God is presenting, to humanity. But God's been doing this since the beginning of creation. God created every bird, every tree, everything, all the dirt, everything. So, but you're not, on a utopian level, you'll go, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. But on a realistic level, you can't really grip the reality of that earth is God. Earth is God, and God is earth. And that doesn't mean that flowers are gods, or that birds are gods, or cats are gods, or anything like that. It just means that God created everything. And when God created Adam, he created himself to be on earth. And read the Bible. You'll see that it was a very angry event when Adam was created out of dirt, out of earth. Earth, not a mother or father, but a direct manifestation of God. And if you read the Bible, Satan, who you call Lucifer, the fallen angel, Satan, showed up immediately, and disrespected God in the form of a man. And he laughed at him, you know. He actually hit him in the shoulder and said, "Does that hurt? Can you feel it? Yeah. Can I give you pain? Can I make you bleed? Can I kill you?" Yeah. And he could. He could. Could make him bleed. He could hurt him. So then he's saying, you know, there's nothing about you that's God. You can hit me all you want, and I won't bleed. That's what Satan says. Yeah, because Satan is Satan. Been Satan for a long time. Yeah. And controls the will of many, many, many things, including humanity, and wanted to control the will of Adam. And it didn't work. You know, Adam stood there and just dealt with it and stood alone. You know, not allowing that process to get in the way, because he had to name all the animals. And he had to name all the plants. He had to look at all the rocks. He had to look at everything. All the trees, all the plants, all the animals. And name them. Because he's God. And that's his final process, is that he has to literally come to every little thing and name it. He created it, now he names it. So to do that, he had to take a form so he could use his mouth and words and express. And that turned the Word into a magical reality. Yeah. Every single thing that Adam named is holy. So when you say apple, it's holy. Yeah. When you say this kind of bird, that kind of bird, this kind of insect, that kind of insect, it's holy. Made by God, named by God. Yeah. And it doesn't matter, you know, what you may think. Yeah. This process is under God. Yeah. So here we are now, you know, dealing with humanity after Jesus. Yeah. Jesus comes, incarnates, shows up in Israel, yeah, in Bethlehem. Is born, has a mother, a father, and the mother's not really his mother. Why? Because he's Adam. He's God. Yeah. So he makes manifest in her womb, and angels come to tell her. This is in the Bible. It's not a myth. It's not a mystery. It's real. Happens all along the Bible and throughout the Old Testament and the New. Angels appear. Angels take control of the situation. Yeah. You know, so Jesus incarnates. Wise men come. Herod, who is the Antichrist at the time, Antichrist, because he literally believes that Christ is on earth to kill him. Literally, to kill him, to destroy his power, to destroy everything he rules. Yeah, so he's pretty freaked out. And he believes that he has to kill every single boy in hundreds of miles. All of them. And they were. They were. Yeah. So by blessing alone, you know, my family was moved to Egypt, the opposite direction. Yeah. It's kind of funny thing right now, if you look at Israel, Palestine is under attack. Jesus is the Palestinian. So if you think of Palestine, you should think of Jesus. And if Palestine is under attack, Jesus must be back. Because they're looking for him. They think he's in Palestine. So they have to kill all the Christians, not just Jesus, but maybe his mom, his dad, his brother, his sister, and him. No history of his incarnation before it happens. They figure he's a child or a teenager, so they're kidnapping and taking in the middle of the night teenagers and children. Hundreds of them every year. Yeah. And they're trying to find out whether or not any of them is Jesus. That's a hard thing for anybody to even imagine. Is that what's going on? Yeah, it is what's going on. Yeah, and it is what went on. And it's going on now. So, what's going on with that? Well, let's say that maybe the Antichrist is around. And maybe the Antichrist is the king of Israel. Who is the king of Israel? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, king of Israel. According to Israel, according to the president of Israel, according to the signs in Israel, there are signs painted, put up, all over the place. He's such a king that he moved Palestine's capital to Jerusalem and made it Israel's capital. Why? Because he's the Antichrist. And he has to wipe out any possible coming of Christ immediately, before it happens. That way, he can come forth and call himself the chosen one. Now, have you ever heard anybody call Trump the chosen one? Yeah, all the Christians. All the evangelist Christians in America, all of them, called him the chosen one. On the news, he stood there and said, I am the chosen one. Then he went to Israel, and they named him the chosen one. What happened after that? He decided he would move Jerusalem because he's the chosen one. He'd move it, or at least the capital. Having Jerusalem remain where it's at, but move the capital of Israel to Jerusalem and eliminate Palestine altogether as a state of consciousness, as anything, as a history. You got to do that. You do that by getting rid of the Christians in Israel. Have you seen that on the news? Getting rid of Christians in Israel? Not a word. Not a word. Yet that is what's happening. If you look at it, they say the plan is to bring Arabs back, Muslims, and Jews. But the thing is that even up to recently, there were only 3 people in Israel, 3 kinds of people. Muslims, or Arabs, Christians, which were number one, and then Muslims, and then Jews. Christians were number one. Not anymore. Not at all. But even in America, anti-Christian, anti-Christ. They're attacking churches. What? Attacking churches? When did that
The Family
start?
Research Council reports nearly 400 churches were attacked from January 2018 to September 2022.
400 churches is a whole lot of churches. But did you hear of it? No. Did anybody hear of it? No. 400 churches throughout the United States attacked. Nobody's heard of it.
And incidents have skyrocketed in the first 3 months of this year, with 69.
Skyrocketed this year. Have you heard of one? Did you hear of 3 or 4? Yeah, well, it skyrocketed, 69, but you didn't hear of any.
9 recorded attacks. That's 3 times more than during the first quarter of 2022. And it's not only attacks against Christians and their houses of worship that are on the rise.
Interesting, huh? But what about, is that the only place that Christians are attacked? Let's see. So let's look at Jews and in Palestine. This is a Jewish person, who is a real Jew. You can tell. I mean, a real Jew's a real Jew. They stay within the Jewish race, so they look very similar. And if they're Hasidic or traditional Jews, traditional, not Zionist, but traditional Jews, then they're anti-Zionist. Can you believe that? Those are Jews, the ones that are out there in the public saying we have to go back to Israel because it's prophesied by God. By God. But is it? Or is it prophesied by Satan? It's a fulfillment of Satan. And this group knows that. So you're helping Satan, folks. You're helping Satan. But you're not doing it in a small way. You're doing it in every possible way you think you can. Homosexuality, transgender, voting for Trump, thinking that the voting didn't work. This is what he says.
You here today to support Palestinian rights. We as Jews are embarrassed what's happening there in the state of Israel in the Jewish name. And what's your message to the people of Palestine? They shouldn't give up the struggle. They should continue to fight and not give up the struggle against the state of Israel, because by the end, Palestine will be free, because this is truth. Will succeed by the end. What's your message to the people of Palestine?
They should know. We feel very shame what's going on there, especially they're doing everything in our name, in the name of Jews, in the name of the Torah, in the name of God. It's so shameful. We are with you. You have to know. The Zionists are strong. We are weak. But God is on our side. At the end of the day, the Palestinian flag will be on all Palestine, from the river to the sea.
And that's true. They will be in the end. They will be in Palestine, and there will be in Israel. And all of the sacred land of Christianity is in Palestine. Churches, everything. But what did Israel do? This is what Israel is doing to
Cannot
Christians.
move anywhere. Gaza has become a big prison. We've witnessed many wars. During the bombing, we had to sleep in the church for safety.
The story of Rosette's family is typical among Gaza's small community of Christians. They gather in just 3 churches. Congregations are shrinking. Their population's just over 1,000. It was more than double that 10 years ago, when the blockade by Israel and Egypt began.
Palestine, Christian population, just barely over 1,000. 1,000! Out of all the people on this planet, all the Christians in the world. The birthplace of Christ. But now it's the headquarters of satanic movement to keep Christ from appearing. That's really quite something, folks. You need to really consider. This is what this is about.
And of a surprising report from Israel today, where officials are taking seriously a recent upsurge in spitting and hitting attacks on clergy and the vandalism of Christian sites.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they've been repeatedly assaulted. So how are Christian leaders responding?
Old City. Now, that would be the place where Jesus was put on a cross, where Jesus was put in a cave when he died, and where Jesus was born. Old City. You can think of it differently.
Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
The situation led Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Police Commissioner Yaakov Shabtai to meet leaders of the Orthodox and Catholic churches of the Holy Land.
In recent months, we've seen very serious phenomena towards the Christian denominations in the Holy Land. Our brothers and sisters, Christian citizens, feel attacked in their places of prayer, in their cemeteries, and on the streets.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they are often harassed, spit on, and even physically attacked by religious Jewish youth.
I view this phenomenon as extreme and unacceptable in any shape or form. This phenomenon needs to be uprooted.
Earlier incidents include the desecration of a Protestant cemetery on Mount Zion, an attack on international Christians during a day of prayer for Jerusalem, and harassment at a Messianic concert in Jerusalem.
We must respect the members of all religions. We've committed to this since the dawn of our existence. This is the most basic commandment of love your neighbor as yourself.
Church leaders expressed their desire to work together with Israeli authorities.
We need to work together in order to encourage coexistence and solidarity between us.
So this is a process that everybody needs to realize is going on. This is a process where Jerusalem has been taken over, but it was taken over by the United States. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, sent his son-in-law and his daughter there and put up and moved the capital of Israel to Jerusalem. Well, that caused a war. It caused a war. A big war. Lots of people killed. A lot of people killed. And we have a war right now, but it actually started when Trump moved the capital of Palestine. And Jared Kushner going in saying, what Palestine? They're Israelites now. They either agree with us or leave the country. Leave the country. That's their only alternative.
You understand why the Palestinians don't trust you?
Look, I'm not here to be trusted. I'm here to...
Well, you are, frankly. I mean, to look at it from their point of view, and you're a businessman, you always look at things from their view. You've got 3 Orthodox Jews on the negotiating team. 2 of you have, at different points, funded settlements, Jewish settlements in the West Bank. You've got the actions you've taken so far, moving the US Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. You've cut all aid to the Palestinians, including hospitals in East Jerusalem.
He did that. He did that. Yeah? He and the King of Jews, Trump, did that. And the people of Israel just sat back and watched it happen. They agreed with it because it fulfills their Zionist belief system. But this is the Antichrist who came to Israel. And he put up signs saying, just like in America, make America great again. GOP, make America great again. Well, he did the same thing in Israel, put signs, everything. Make Israel great again, with his picture there. He's the Antichrist, people. He's the fulfillment of the Antichrist. He's locking in on America, because that's where I'm at now. And he's locking in where I was before, as Jesus, where all my disciples, all Christians, look for Jesus. They pray to that place, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, the birth of Christ, his death on a cross, his resurrection is that location. It's a holy place. It's not a Jewish place. It's not a Muslim place. It's a Christian place. All the Christians of earth focus on that place. And the Antichrist took it over.
pick you up on what you said, because if indeed this is a basis for negotiations and the Palestinians do take up the offer and come to the United States or to the administration, try to negotiate, you know, that's one thing. So I want to ask you then, you called it a conceptual map, and you've called this a basis for negotiations. The Israeli Prime Minister has stated that this weekend he will impose the laws of the State of Israel, those are the words out of his mouth, on the Jordan Valley, on those areas in the West Bank, he calls it Judea and Samaria, where there are settlements and other such places, and presumably over Jerusalem as well, or I don't know about Eastern Jerusalem, but nonetheless, if that happens this weekend, is that with the approval of the United States?
And it happened. We see the war now. It all built up to that. What happened was that the time when they took Jerusalem, they began going in the middle of the night and picking up teenagers, boys and girls. Over 500 a year. 500, that's a whole heck of a lot of kids to abduct and put in prison and interrogate. But it's real. It's what they did. Not a crime against humanity, huh? This is the Antichrist. This is the Zionist. They're not anything to do with God. They're to do with the Antichrist. They are to fulfill the mission of the Antichrist.
Donald Trump, basically the king of Israel. So that's how a radio host referred to the president today, and Trump quoted his remarks in a series of tweets this morning. The president thanking Wayne Allen Root for calling him, quote, the greatest president for Jews and Israel, and also for saying that, quote, they love him, Trump, like he's the second coming of God.
So who would do that? Who would come and claim such a thing? And who would do what they're doing to Israel? Who would move Jerusalem? Who would send his own son-in-law to rip apart Palestine and bring Zionism into Israel? Who would do that? Well, Israel is a homosexual state. A homosexual state. That's a weird thing. How do you become a freaking homosexual state? Well, they're homosexual. They are 80% homosexual. And that, yeah, it just... And check this out.
Ask yourself is, why is the LGBTQ plus movement so consumed with children who aren't the least bit interested in sex? Would you allow a heterosexual man to teach preschool girls about sexual expression? Would you allow Chippendale dancers in the kindergarten classroom to read books with sexual innuendos? Then why are we so quiet while the LGBTQ community grooms our children for a life of sexual sin? You see, Jesus warns of the outcome for those who play along with this nonsense. He says, if you cause one of these little ones who trust in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. Are you going to speak out and protect these precious children, or are you going to stay silent while our schools are taken over by those who are 15 times more likely to molest children? It's time to wake up. This is no joke. We cannot ignore this any longer. The LGBTQ movement will not only destroy our kids, but it will also destroy our nation. The best way we can turn this around is to protect our kids. Get this crap out of your house. Don't allow your kids to access cartoons and books that promote sexual preference and
So, this guy is very well aware, that homosexuals are pedophiles. And if you have a lot of homosexuals, they're after the children. They're after the children. It doesn't matter if they're having sex with them, they want to violate them. They're evil. And what is Israel in relationship to that? Could it be? Yeah. What is Israel in relationship to that, huh? Kind of looks like a pretty bad scene. Yeah. 80%, over 80% of the people of Israel are gay. Gay. Which means over 80, this is a large majority, because usually it's only about 3%. 3%. But this is 80%, which means that there's a lot of pedophiles standing right there. A lot of pedophiles. But are gay people pedophiles, and are they really after our kids? Are they really after our kids? I mean, that's a heck of a thing to say, you know.
Ask yourself is, why is the LGBTQ plus movement so consumed with children who aren't the least bit interested in sex? Would you allow a heterosexual man to teach preschool girls about sexual expression? Would you allow Chippendale dancers in the kindergarten classroom to read books with sexual innuendos? Then why are we so quiet while the LGBTQ community grooms our children for a life of sexual sin? You see, Jesus warns of the outcome for those who play along with this nonsense. He says, if you cause one of these little ones who trust in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea.
So what will happen to Israel? All these pedophiles. God does exist. Even though they've taken refuge under Trump. Make you a better situation. But are they after your kids?
Participants recently held a parade in New York City where they made it clear they're queer and they're coming for your children. Our first president would have swallowed his wooden teeth. No wonder parents are pushing back against gender fluidity instruction in public schools. Christians are standing up, not discriminating against gays, but against childhood indoctrination. They're also opposing unrestricted abortion, and for that, churches are under attack. The most recent, $100,000 in damages done to the Fowler's UMC Church in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. We don't know if the vandals acted simply out of anger against God or because the church had taken a moral stance on a controversial issue.
Have you heard the news?
You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
I am also very nervous for you just because hopefully soon transphobia won't be as tolerated online, but your tweets are forever and I don't want those to come back and haunt you.
So what they're saying is that they're in politics and they're behind the scene. They're writing laws so that if you do not use the pronoun, you're violent. If you are a Christian and say quotes from the Bible, you can go to jail and be handcuffed. We have people in Glastonbury who I put up quotes from my father's Bible and said exactly what God says about homosexuality. And a video of me saying it. And the police came. The police, said that we were violent, aggressive, hostile, hateful. And we're going to be put in jail if we don't take it away. And we're a church. We're a church. Sharing the word of God to people. But that's illegal in England. Illegal in England. It's also illegal in Canada and many parts of the United States. That's where we're at, people. The Antichrist is really doing a trip on you. But there are signs of Christ. And you have to stay vigilant. This whole process of Israel is the return of Christ to his homeland. That's in the Bible. He returns. I did return. When I returned, the oldest rabbi had a visit from me in his room. And he received the Messiah and stated that the Messiah was Yeshua, Jesus. The one on the cross 2,000 years ago is still Christ today. He made that open statement just before he died. Amazing.
Did you know that this Bible prophecy is happening right in front of your eyes and nobody's talking about it? The Bible says in the book of Revelation that one of the signs we are in the last days is that the great river Euphrates will dry up. Well, this is the current state of that river. It's drying up. But that's not the crazy part. What's underneath the river will shock you. The Bible says that when the fallen angels fell down to the earth, God chained them up and put them under the great Euphrates River. And in the last days, when this river begins to dry up, there will be a massive horn that will be blasted, and these angels will be released. And they will actually be allowed by God to slaughter 1/3 of the world's population. If you want to know the truth about the fallen angel Bible prophecy, go watch the video that I pinned in the comments.
That's pretty heavy, huh? Yeah. Doesn't quite sound like the process where you get to go up to heaven and be redeemed and be with God, and it's more like real. It's more like real. It's more like Christ is back. And are you going to be a Christian? Or are you going to follow Satan? Well, these angels are fallen angels. And the thing about them is that they put their energy into the earth as they express themselves. And that expresses into the fallen angels that are on earth. People like Trump, people like that. King of England. Well, that energy goes into them and destroys them. Doesn't make them stronger. It destroys them. Yeah. Because these angels, even though they are fallen, they're under God's authority. So they're going to be judgment instead of righteous. Yeah. They're going to bring judgment. Yeah. So that will allow Trump to be put in jail many times. Trump to be humiliated, fingerprinted, the whole bit. Which means he's a criminal. He's busted by the law of humanity, been recognized. Check this out.
Somehow against your religion.
The Jewish religion forbids, since the destruction of the temple 2,000 years ago, we were given an edict, a decree by God, it's a prophecy of King Solomon, that we are not to attempt to recreate our sovereignty. Even 1 inch of Jewish sovereignty, even in an uninhabited land, is...
Now hold on to that, because what he's saying is that the Jewish people, who is the lineage of Jesus Christ, Abraham, going back to Adam and everything. This is the lineage, And these people hold a covenant with God, being the commandments and being everything that God has brought forth up to Abraham, not including Jesus, but including David and Abraham and all the things that are found. So they have strong influence of God. It allows them to be patient. It allows them to wait. It allows them to obey God. And that way, when God said, all the way to Moses, leave. You can't stay here. You have to go out into the world, all over the world, and not return until the Messiah comes. And everybody is saved, not Jews. Everybody. Everybody. You'll say this.
Expressly forbidden. And we Jews wait for the day when God will make a miracle where all humanity will serve Him in harmony. We won't have to convince an atheist that there is a God. Everybody will recognize God, and then we will all go up and serve Him. Prior to that event, we are expressly forbidden to try to attempt to make any Jewish nationalism sovereignty, and this was respected and upheld by Jews throughout the trials and tribulations of the Inquisition, the Crusades, and every time period of Judaism when they were easily capable of buying land. They never did it because they understood this is against the will of the Almighty, and this is not what it means to be a Jew.
Once again, this is not an opinion that you hear expressed very often. Are you in a minority? Is this simply your reading of the Torah?
No, this is the view of Judaism and Jews who are practicing the religion who are around the world. You will find invariably any religious community that is very religious. We carry around, first we have called the rabbis speak out. This is the leaders of Judaism from Sephardic, Ashkenazic, in other words, European, Middle Eastern, any country. The rabbis, when Zionism came, the concept of Zionism was developed, the Jewish rabbinical authorities universally said, no, this is forbidden for us to do. The reason being that it is not the concept of subservience to God, it's a nationalism, and in its actions, when it comes into fruition, when they created the state, the concept of stealing from people, killing, stealing, is all forbidden according to the Torah. So in every facet, Zionism is a rebellion against the command of God.
Do you understand? Do you understand? This man is a rabbi. He represents Jews, real Jews, real Jews. Not people who come out of the Holocaust and are pissed off and sad and make up a Zionistic belief system, and the people of England say, oh, hey, we believe that too. And it's true. Study it. It comes from a Zionist reality, from a singular individual who was a politician. And he wanted, as a Jew, he wanted to rule his own country because he felt so bad for the Jews. But the Jews don't feel bad for themselves. That's not the truth. Those Jews do. Yeah. They're highly rented, they're destroyed, they're been ripped apart. They don't have any faith. So they became Zionists. These are Holocaust Jews. And it's sad that they were in a Holocaust. It's all so sad. But it could lead you to the devil when you're being beaten by the devil. It could lead you to be like Hitler. Now go to Israel and see the behavior of Netanyahu and see the behavior of all the Zionist Jews against Palestine, against that place. And isn't that Hitler? It's exactly the same. Exactly. He did apartheid. He did apartheid. He took over countries. He called it a war. This is a war. And it's the same as Hitler. There's no difference. The evil in Hitler is in the Zionist. Heavy subject. So, from all this, a lot of people are suffering. And it's not just from that. There's a lot of people suffering because in this process, in the early 1900s, very evil people, snake oil salesmen, people who were doctors, people who were pharmacists, people who said that they were, able to do scientific research only to verify what they believed to be true. So there's a lot of people, industries, who wanted to make a lot of money from food products. And they thought, well, let's press oil from seeds and from corn. make oil. Big industry, big industry. It takes like, I don't know, hundreds of stalks of corn to make 2 tablespoons of oil. A lot of energy, a lot of industry. It takes a whole manufacturing plant. Not something you do at home in order to have oil, because it would take everything. You'd have to have great big machines. You have to heat it to 500 degrees. Press it, heat it. All these things in order to get that oil. And, you know, since that time, these companies figured that they would replace the fat that we use to fry food. The fat that we use from butter to eat. Yeah. And everything in that way. Where we would normally use animal fat, they wanted to change that to vegetable oil and seed oil and nut oil, palm oil. So they did that. So by the time we get to 1920, you know, we have, most things have oil in it, that kind of oil. And we get to the 1930s, 1940s, by 1950, we take lard that we fry everything in and change that to Crisco that looks like lard and lie to people. Tell them it's like lard. And it's not like lard at all. It's vegetable oil. And there's a lot of bad things about vegetable oil. A lot. One thing, it kills people. If you eat vegetable oil, you will die from it. Not right away, but it will be what causes your death. Not good. Not good. And a lot of people eat vegetable oil. In every packaged food, there's vegetable oil. Crackers even have vegetable oil. Yeah. Triscuits have vegetable oil. Candy has vegetable oil. Everything has vegetable oil, and you eat it. So what happens if you eat vegetable oil?
Apologist Daniel Lieberman explains in his book The Evolution of the Human Head that jaws and faces do not grow to the same size that they used to. For a very long time, it was the norm for humans to have large skulls and quite broad mouths. When the mouth, the dental arch, is too small, there's not enough room for the teeth to come in, so they crowd together and become crooked.
The teeth are forming in the baby's jaw long before it is born.
Based on studies from 2009 to 2019, the prevalence of children developing crooked teeth today is 53% in America, 56% worldwide, and 72% in Europe. So the question becomes, why would the dental arch grow big enough for this brother, but not for this brother? That's where Weston Price comes in. Totally new processed foodstuffs like refined grains, sugar, and vegetable oil were spreading, and these people living in remote areas were finally getting access to them. He found a clear pattern. Those living on their traditional diet were in good health, had broad dental arches, straight teeth, and very few cavities. However, other groups in the same area who started eating these new modern foods developed crooked teeth and had 5 to more than 30 times the cavities of their counterparts despite sharing similar genetics.
Yep. And what happens when you have a generation of people, a long generation, like 3 or 4 generations, and mothers are eating vegetable oil, yeah, and by 1970s they become vegans, so vegetable oil is 100% their diet, and they're also eating processed food and vegetables, lots and lots of vegetables, carbohydrates like crazy. And sugar, yep, absolutely, because it's part of the vegan diet. There's nothing wrong with sugar. You know, you can eat ice cream, cake, candy, it's all vegan. You know, so it's part of the vegan diet. And what does the vegan diet do? Does it affect people? You know, are there anybody quitting the vegan diet because they almost died.
Health has done like a complete 180 in the past couple of months, and things have improved that I never even thought could improve. Mental clarity and focus was one of my biggest things that I had an issue with when I was vegan, and now it's like so effortless.
Ivan Franz chose to devote his life to studying heart disease, specifically to understanding the role of cholesterol and blood lipids in heart attacks.
Back in the 1960s, Ivan Franz conducted a meticulously controlled study that would shed light on what actually happens when people cut out saturated fats and eat polyunsaturated vegetable fats instead. The study, which would be called the Minnesota Coronary Survey, took years to set up and had more than 9,000 research subjects. Since people were living in institutions, they could control exactly what the people ate. It ran for 5 years, from 1968 to 1973.
The patients in Franz's study would go for their meals in the cafeteria and get one of two trays. They'd look completely identical, but one tray was food cooked with vegetable oil, the other had everything cooked in saturated fat.
This was a beautifully organized study. There was lots of money, nothing, no holes were barred to try to do a good job.
To this day, it stands as one of the most rigorous diet trials ever conducted. So what does the Minnesota study show? The patients on the vegetable oil diet did end up with lower cholesterol than the people who ate food cooked with animal fats. But the vegetable oil people didn't live longer, which made no sense. They were eating the kind of diet everyone believed should help you live longer.
For whatever reason, Ivan Franz sat on his data for 15 years, until he finally published the results in 1989.
And his study was all but forgotten for a quarter century.
That is, until researcher at the NIH, Christopher Ramsden, tracked down Ivan Franz's son for the old tapes containing the raw data from this study.
The people who were over 65, who had been on the diet for more than a year, the more their cholesterol was lowered, the higher the risk of an adverse outcome.
Here, by adverse outcome, he means death.
People over 65 were dying faster if they ate a so-called healthy diet. There's no good evidence that reducing saturated fat makes you live longer. The best clinical trials we have reach the opposite conclusion.
So what we have is that a mass of people, since the time that we eliminated animal fat, heart attacks went up dramatically. Alzheimer's went up dramatically. Yeah, which used to be just called, like getting old. And you can't remember anything. Yeah. But this is the level of Alzheimer is so high, and it's due to this.
The intense processing necessary to simply get the oil out of tiny seeds and into bottles easily damages them. Heat is a great way to oxidize fats, and vegetable oil is repeatedly heated long before it ever arrives in a kitchen. There are many steps to create edible oil, and several of them involve very high heat. The oil is heated to 80 degrees Celsius during the acid wash process. In the neutralization process, the oil can get up to 95 degrees Celsius.
The bleaching earth step is carried out between 90 and 110 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes.
At this point, the oil has oxidized so much that it's rancid and would taste terrible and smell awful if you ate it as is. This is why there is a final intensive deodorization process. During this extensive deodorization process, the oil is heated once again and can reach as high as 260 degrees Celsius or 500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 125 degrees hotter than the temperature needed for deep frying. There's something called the Israeli paradox. Israel has one of the highest omega-6 polyunsaturated fat consumptions in the world. Their omega-6 consumption is 8% higher than the USA and 10 to 12% higher than most of Europe. To quote this paper, despite such national habits, there's a paradoxically high prevalence of cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and obesity.
What do you know? Israel's killing themselves. You know, stupidity leads you to stupidity. Yeah, and when you're highly dogmatic like Israel, and you think that, you know, you got to eat the way you do and not eat animal products because, you know, you follow stupid reality, you know, then it leads you to an outcome. And the outcome right now that we can see of Israel is that they have a very high rate of obesity, heart attack, cardiac problems, and diabetes. And it's not going away. No, and not in any way. Yeah. Plus, they're incredibly hateful. And they believe their hate is justified as a religion. That's really intense. But in reality, you know, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. That's part of our Christian life, you know, is following the pretext of the law of truth. Despite all that's going on, we still have to look for truth. You know, a lot of people are unhealthy. So I'm trying to show you that veggie oil in every way will kill you in the long run. It's certainly not going to lead you to a healthy life. And if you're vegetarian, there's a lot of veggie oil. If you're vegetarian, you're likely to eat a lot of soybean and other products that actually do increase or inhibit hormones, making men a lot more feminine and women a lot more masculine, making men a lot more depressed and emotional, making women a lot more in pain and suffering. Their periods are very hard to go through. Yeah, the amount of blood that they lose is way more than they should because they're unhealthy. Their hormones are completely out of sync. And it requires a proper diet to develop hormones. Not hormone shots, not a doctor, not anything like that. It's a diet. And you have to eliminate things that are in your diet so that you can put things in your diet that are good for you. The things that we're eating are things that have been given to us to replace the good things that we're supposed to eat. And you can only eat so much. We're unaware of the importance of many things when it comes down to our diet. Yeah. One of those things is mitochondria.
Mitochondria are found in nearly all cells in the human body. They are the powerhouse of the cell and the reason you breathe and eat food. Mitochondria use food calories and oxygen to create energy in the form of a compound called ATP. We are incredibly reliant on our mitochondria to smoothly and efficiently produce massive amounts of energy. We need so much energy that if you took all the molecules of ATP you made in a day and put it on the scale, it would weigh as much as you.
Okay, now think about that. ATP is very important. It makes your body energy. Energy. The energy you got. Not a cup of coffee, not a Coca-Cola, not sugar, but energy that comes from food. And it comes into the body and it influences your mitochondria, creating ATP. That ATP is your energy. Yeah. So you have a fuel that's built inside of you. But if you're a vegan or you eat vegetable oil, you destroy that ATP and you destroy the mitochondria, and it does lead your body in the long run to death. Pancreatic cancer and other cancers that people are getting are all based on this.
We make our body weight in ATP every day. If you messed up this energy supply,
you make your entire body weight, whatever amount you weigh, your body by nature is meant to make as much ATP as your body weight. If you weigh 150 pounds, you'd make 150 pounds of ATP. And that would fuel you to get through the day. But what if you're only making 5 pounds?
Things would go haywire rapidly. This is how cyanide kills people so quickly. It damages the mitochondria's ability to make energy. Unsurprisingly, some instances of feelings of excessively low energy or fatigue have been linked to poor mitochondrial function. Evolutionary biologist Dr. Douglas C. Wallace is arguing here that medicine focuses too much on anatomy and not enough on animation. That is, the energy production necessary to animate the anatomy. Scientists are starting to see that mitochondrial dysfunction may play a central role in the development of many diseases, including heart disease and Alzheimer's. That's not all that surprising because the heart and brain require massive amounts of energy to work properly. It's also well known that the mitochondria are dysfunctional in obesity and diabetes. In fact, the world's most prescribed diabetes drug, metformin, which is one of the few that also helps patients lose weight, acts on the mitochondria. Okay, but where does vegetable oil come into play in all of this? Well, surprise, surprise, vegetable oils can damage the mitochondria. To make this real simple, you can think of the mitochondria's energy production as a conveyor belt at a factory that's pumping out ATP energy. After your body pulls electrons from the food you eat, complexes and electron transporters pass electrons down this conveyor belt, the inner membrane of the mitochondria. This results in protons being pumped up here, and then the protons get sucked into this ATP synthesis enzyme to make ATP. Now, the conveyor belt, the inner membrane, has plenty of something called cardiolipin. This is important because this is what's damaged when you consume plenty of vegetable oils. When the linoleic acid from vegetable oils accumulates in your body, you can get what's called a peroxidation cascade, where kind of like dominoes, one molecule of linoleic acid oxidizes and produces a substance that can oxidize another molecule of linoleic acid, and that produces more of that substance that can go on and damage another molecule of linoleic acid, and so on and so on.
So the point that he's making is that the mitochondria makes ATP, and the oil breaks down the amino acids by having oxidation. And the oil is oxidated simply because it's vegetable oil. Vegetable oil oxidizes with heat. It oxidizes just being in the air. It oxidizes being stored. So no matter what oil you're getting, it's oxidized. And while it's in your body, it becomes more oxidized in a different way that breaks things down even further. Not good.
Chain reaction. This chain reaction can go on to affect the cardiolipin in your mitochondria. As this study shows here, when rats eat a linoleic acid-rich vegetable oil diet, markers of oxidized fat doubled. And in the heart, the content of cardiolipin, the stuff your mitochondria needs to properly produce energy, was reduced 5-fold.
So what would that bring? That would bring a weak heart, cardiac arrest, which is common even in teenagers.
In this study, the cardiolipin of diabetic and non-diabetic rats reduced drastically when they were fed a vegetable oil diet. And the mitochondria of the vegetable oil-fed diabetic rats completely collapsed into these crumpled blobs. Even the textbook Recent Advances in Mitochondrial Medicine acknowledges that omega-6 fatty acids, like those found in vegetable oil, may damage various organs, including the pancreas, which would worsen metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes.
So in what way does it affect more of our being? You know, it affects our heart, it affects our ability to maintain energy through ATP, but it also affects Alzheimer's. It could be the cause
intense processing necessary to simply get the oil out of tiny seeds and into bottles easily damages them. Simply sitting in storage, as you can see here. Vegetable oils also oxidize while sitting in your body. creating toxic oxidation products like an aldehyde called 4-HNE. 4-HNE is actually considered to be the most toxic aldehyde, and this compound has been associated with aging, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. Neuroscientist Tetsumoto Yamashima has done plenty of research on vegetable oils and 4-HNE. He's published multiple papers on the damaging effects of this compound and why people need to avoid vegetable oils because they oxidize into 4-HNE in our bodies. This book of his is titled Stop Eating Vegetable Oils to Save Your Brain and Blood Vessels. He's even gone as far as to say that the real culprit behind Alzheimer's disease is vegetable oil. Now, that's just the research of one neuroscientist, but other research, like this done at the Lewis Katz School of Medicine at Temple University, found canola oil in the diet to be associated with worsened memory, worsened learning ability, and weight gain in mice. Also, Alzheimer's prevalence happens to correlate with vegetable oil consumption, but again, this is just a correlation.
So there's also a process. My main thing is to help you better understand a lot of things that are way out there for your understanding, like diet. You'd think that's easy, but it's not. It's not, and it's killing you. And you'd think religion, that's got to be easy. It's not, and it could kill you. It could kill you. Yeah, you could fall into anti-God and find yourself in a Satanist situation. You could fall in to feminism, homosexuality, lesbianism, LGBT, all of that. You can fall into that. Yeah, you know. So the teachings that I'm giving is to help the children from coming into this in their family, their mothers, their fathers, their teachers, the government that we're in. All these things have to be fostered to God. Yeah. So my teachings are for that. So one of the other things is that babies are fed formula. Yeah. Mothers do not nurse. Yeah, it's not that common. And there is an enormous benefit from nursing and a lot of hazard from baby formula. Yeah. So let's just take a look at that.
The nutrient choline was recognized to be essential. Liver disease, heart disease, and neurological dysfunction taught us that choline is pretty important. A paper from just last year, in 2022, suggests that we underestimate the optimal intake of choline. This choline study found that 7-year-old children had better attention span if their mothers consumed twice the recommended amount of choline during their pregnancy.
As so many doctors know when they confidently approve pet milk for babies.
Finally, let's go back to 1865, when the first infant formula was invented. It took many decades for quality and regulations to improve, but eventually infant formula came to be widely regarded as a safe substitute for breast milk, leading to a significant decline in breastfeeding.
Pet milk is a safe milk for babies, so feed your baby the pet milk way.
Research has associated formula feeding with children more easily developing eczema, asthma, and food allergies, as well as diabetes and obesity. A 2008 study found breastfed babies to have 5-point higher IQ. Today, the AAP, WHO, and UNICEF all recommend exclusive breastfeeding for at least the first 6 months of life. If a mother can't breastfeed or get donor milk, of course, modern infant formula is basically a miracle. But Dr. Rhonda Patrick has made an excellent video overviewing just how complex breast milk is. It contains 415 different proteins, 200 different human milk oligosaccharides, 200 different fatty acids, 4 different types of growth factors, and that's not even the full list. As recent as 2016 and 2019, 2 different new compounds found in breast milk started being added to formula because they improve infant gut and brain health. Even a representative of Abbott, a leading infant formula manufacturer, admits that
to mimic and replicate breast milk is not possible.
Yes, a newborn will have far more sensitive nutrient requirements than an adult or even a child, but it's an example of the difficulty of trying to make a complete replacement of a natural food.
And that's what we're doing in most cases. We're actually trying to grow meat, make meat, you know, trying to make vegan meat. Yeah. And it's made out of vegetable oil. It's made out of all the things that would give you cancer. all the things that would give you diabetes, all the things that would destroy your mitochondria. Yeah, and in time, you would be lacking B12, vitamin D, iron, so many things that build your body and give you strength. So mentally, emotionally, and physically, you would be getting weaker, and they do. But there are so many things that go on in this world that affect our children, affect us, and in the process of being married. You know, I mean, we got feminists out there, we got transgender that wants to have sex with straight men, you know, so you don't know who you're dating. You know, that's not a good thing. Yeah, it puts a lot of men in a place to where they really distrust the thought of marrying. Yeah. And, you know, what happens after you do get married? You know, does that work out? What if your wife is having sex with someone and has a baby and tells you it's yours? And you keep thinking it, but something's wrong. So you go get a DNA. By law, every single baby should have a DNA, and every parent should have a DNA. And they need to be confronted before the baby comes. Because there are a lot of men paying alimony, child support, taking care of children that aren't theirs. They're just being lied to. This is one.
Yeah, why the fuck the DNA says our baby ain't mine? What you mean what I'm talking about? I took a DNA test for our baby and the test came back saying the baby not mine. So who the fuck is the baby daddy?
Why did you take a DNA test for our
Listen, don't worry about all that. So you been lying, you been keeping secrets?
Oh my God, I didn't. I couldn't be like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's not even.
What you mean you don't know what to say? Tell me who's the fucking baby daddy. That's what you can tell me. Who's the fucking baby daddy?
I mean, it's you.
Stop playing with me, baby mama. The fucking test says I'm not the fucking baby daddy, so who's the fucking baby daddy? You playing, though. A landlord? A landlord? Are you serious? So you mean to tell me you fucking a landlord? I'm paying this man rent money and he fucking you on the side? I ain't got shit to say to you.
Double the pain. Yeah. And that's not uncommon. When you get into court and, you know, you're in the middle of divorce and the man says, hey, you know, I think a DNA should be done. That's rarely done. They just go along with it. And the court system's set up so that, you know, even if the kid isn't yours in some states, if the kid isn't yours and you're in that family and you're the husband, you become liable because you're a man. You're automatically that baby's father, but yet you're not. You're not actually the father. But legally, you're made that way because the system is set up so that the woman is superior, has what Trump thinks he has, a superior, a different way in which life treats them. It's not the same. They're on a different level. You know, law adjusts itself for women and for people like Trump, who have a lot of money, highly educated, billionaires, things like that. Put you in a position, you know, to where you know, even the law treats you differently. You're above the law. And the law literally does things for you, like in the case of a woman. And women go, oh, of course, men are patriot. This is a patriarchic society, and men are masculine toxicity we have to put up with, and just all the things that label as though the woman is justifiable of getting half of the man's earned salary, or his entire house, or his income for who knows how long. Yeah. But just simply because of the woman is special, treated different than the man. Not the same law. Can't turn that law around, and say, well, you did that to him, so now you have to do this. Not the same. Not the same. So it's that. It's those types of things. We have to change, and we're going to change them. We're all changing them. But we're allowing women, we're allowing Israel, we're allowing it. This is a crime. It's a crime that you have sex with someone else and you tell your husband that it's his baby. It's a crime. It's a crime against a human being. And that's where crime comes in. So, just like Israel, it's a crime against humanity. And just like Hitler, it was a crime against humanity. These are exactly the same situations. The people, the Netanyahu, people who are Zionists, have the veil of a SS police officer. They are obsessed in their process of thinking that they are spiritually ordained, superior, and everybody should bow a knee and let them take over, just like they did for Hitler. And that's the way the Israelis, they're not really Israelis, they're Zionists. And that's a religious cult. Hitler was a religious cult. He put people in Auschwitz because he was a religious cult. Yeah? And that's what this is. Zionism is a religious cult. And Donald Trump thinks that he is the Messiah, and you're all screwing up, and you got to let him go so he can go about his business being the king of the world. And Israel could take over Israel and kill all the Palestinians until they're gone. And Trump can come back and wipe away, any good thing we could build with all the other nations to help them heal and end wars. He would create more wars, more hostility, more conflict that would last so many years. Him going to Jerusalem and doing what he did is what created this Israeli war. You don't want that man as a president. He could have done a lot worse, but he's a spy. He gives information that is top secret, that goes out to people, and that person tells 45 people, at least 45 people, about the Russian or American subs, how far they can go, how many strategic missiles they have on them, how far they can go, everything. Why it's hard to capture, why it's hard to see, he says it all. He's so boastful. And that's all an excuse for him being who he is. He's a destroyer. He's not out for anybody but himself. And he will, just like Israel, will destroy Palestine in order to make themselves happy, satisfied that they've done what their God in hell leads them to do. Only a God in hell leads you to do this. And then here, we have Israel going through what they're going through. And Trump is going from one court to the next. You know, he's got a process in New York. He's got a process in Washington, D.C. He's got a process in Georgia. And, you know, Michigan hasn't even come up yet. Arizona hasn't even come up yet. You know, the crime of raping a 13-year-old girl hasn't come up yet. The fact that he had sex with a porn star and tried to cover it up so he could become president has come up. And he lost that. The fact that he raped someone and it actually got to court did come up, and he was found guilty. He believes it wasn't rape only because the level that he raped her, they couldn't tell because his penis is too small whether or not his finger went in or his penis. So they couldn't verify it. The lady just said, I could hardly tell it was a finger or a penis because it was so small. And he still has a 13-year-old, and he still has pedophilia to deal with. You know, so on top of all this, he has the courts, and he threatens the courts. He threatens Pence. So they put up a hangman's noose, and they say, let's hang Pence. Where's Pence? And he hasn't been asked about that yet, and he's going to be. He hasn't been asked about the girl that was shot, and he's going to be, because it all happened because of him. Yeah. And it all comes together with what he's doing now. And they're asking him, please stop. Stop threatening people, because they come to our house saying that we're going to kill you. They call us saying we're going to murder your wife. He threatened the entire jury. Look at this.
Law enforcement officials are investigating threats against members of the grand jury that are overseeing former U.S. President Donald Trump's legal battle in the state of Georgia. Threats that reportedly came after the personal information of jury members was leaked online. That's according to the sheriff's office in Fulton County, Georgia, the center of that legal battle. It's where Trump and associates were charged earlier this week with conspiring to illegally subvert the 2020 election results in that state. NBC News and CNN had previously reported that names, addresses, photographs, and social media profiles purporting to belong to the jury were being shared online.
Can you imagine that? Now, who wants to be in the jury? That's what its purpose was. Keep everybody out of the jury box. Have them so scared and threatened. And threatened. He threatened the 13-year-old girl with murder. And that he would not only kill her, but he would kill her sister, her mother, her brother, and her father in less than a week, before she ever goes to trial. If she walks into the courtroom and files the court appearance and says, he did this, I want to press charges against Donald Trump. If she was to do that, her family would be murdered. And he had it said, literally. It wasn't something he said on the news. It wasn't something he tweeted. It's something he told someone to go do. And that is an affidavit by the person who was told. In other words, there's someone already willing to say that he authorized a hit on this little girl, and that's what kept her from going into court. And the attorney of the little girl knows it all. So it's all a matter of time of getting it into court. It will happen. Probably after he's dead. just to get money from his family to reimburse the process that she'd had to go through. Which you can't do, but you got to do something for justice' sake. And that's going to happen. So it has to be brought forth. It has to go in trial. He has to be found guilty again. And from that guilty, his family will pay whatever's left over from the money that they've all lost. Because they will lose everything, every single thing. Even Jared will lose his $2 billion, which is illegally given to him from Arabs. Even Giuliani will lose the $2 million that he was given in order to stay quiet. And they know he was given that money. And it's the same thing with the guy who was a bookkeeper. He was given $2.5 million because he was charged $2.5 million. So they said, keep quiet and we'll pay it. And that is down in an email. Yeah, so the whole process that is in the works is in the works. Yeah, I have Trump in jail, but he's not in jail. And the court is saying, we are going to put you in jail if you do one more thing wrong. One more thing. Yeah, he already posted, processes to threaten the jury. And no one did or said anything about it. Look into it. Yep. It only started when he actually put up a false picture of the court's assistant stating that she's having a relationship with the senator. And the two of them are out to get Trump. And the trial should be dropped. He did that. And that really pissed off the court, the judge. So the judge says, you're either going to go to jail. If you don't, take this down immediately and never do that again. So that happened just yesterday and it's being enforced today. So anything he does after this, he has a fairly high likelihood that he would go to jail. But it's like I said, he has special interest. People are giving him leeway. He's not being treated the way we would all be treated. It's not equal in any way, shape, or form. He's not totally above the law, but he is. He is. And you're going to find that that was the worst thing humanity, society, America had ever done, was take the side of Satan when he incarnated. When he came to externalize a nuclear world war coming out of Israel. That's his goal. Not China, not Russia, not India. He wanted war in Israel. So that the whole entire place will be a nuclear zone. No churches, no nothing. Nobody can go there. That's his goal. That's Jared's goal, is to get the war to happen. They have to go up against God, up against Jesus the Christ, which will facilitate a lot of twisting and movement in a spiritual way, a spiritual war between the Antichrist and myself. And the effects are happening right now. Palestine is getting support. People are recognizing that this is not real. It's not legal. It's an apartheid. And that's against the law, against humanity. And there are court systems for it, to take that government out. Out. Get rid of the president. Get rid of the president. Take him away. Either away or in prison. But shut it down. Bring in new people who are actual Jews, Israel, New people that are both Arabs and Christians and Muslims, all of them together, all representing that location. And that creates a new government that is equal, unified, acceptable. Because Muslims love Jesus. True Muslims love Jesus. Yeah? Arabs love Jesus. They have no problem with Jesus, Christianity, or anything like it. Yeah? Real Jews love Jesus because he's the Messiah in the second coming. They expect that. Yeah? So those three groups, not the Zionists who hate Jesus, spit on Jesus, blow up Jesus's monasteries, attack Palestinians in hopes to find Jesus and kill him. That's pretty bad. And it's real. Yeah. So that's what's going on today, is the fostering of both a whole bunch of homosexuals, and I'm pushing them out there to do this. Let me show you. Yeah, check this out.
Men are 15 times more likely to be pedophiles than heterosexual men. And if the
Gay men are 15 times more likely to be pedophile than heterosexual men. 15 times. So imagine you got 80% homosexuality in Israel, 80%. That raises it to about 150 to 250 times the possibility of the children of Israel being raped, molested, and destroyed.
Those aren't enough for you. Let me show you a few videos from the LGBTQ community that further prove their link to pedophilia.
This has been my first year in preschool with a class of my own, teaching alongside another queer neurodivergent educator, and we have been rocking our twos class. So today at the lunch table, when the topic of gender and genitals came up, one of our students plainly looked up and said, "Well, I'm a girl today, but I know that Teacher Co isn't." No, they're NB.
I work for Evolve Early Learning in West Asheville, North Carolina. We are a preschool, and this is one of my favorite books that I wanted to share with you today. B is for bi. You can shout it out loud. I like more than one gender, and that makes me proud. G is for gay. This word's just for you, if you like someone and you share their gender too. L is for lesbian. It's love and affection between two special girls who share a connection. T is for trans. It's a brave step to take to live as the gender you know is innate.
This is the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. This is a video they put out on YouTube. It's titled "A Message from the Gay Community."
But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Now that's San Francisco Gay Choir. San Francisco Gay Choir. And that is their song. Now, when they're talking gay pride, yeah, they're proud of raping children. They're proud of grooming and lying to children. They're proud of making children think about sex at 3 years old. And to consider different ways to have sex in conversation when they're only 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7. And that pride is what makes them sing that song. They don't think anything's going to happen. They come out in the open, they wear devil horns, do gay pride every year. Literally, the whole United States said, yeah, okay, let's start advertising transgender gay pride in beers and cars and stuff, and in movies and cartoons. Let's put it in everything. It's not a problem. Pride. Pride. They really thought, gee whiz, we did it. But now look what's going on. Those movies aren't making any money. Those movie companies aren't making any money. The actors aren't making any money. They're suing because they're not making any money. Netflix is almost out of business because most of them are transgender, working for them, trying to put out transgender affiliated cartoons and movies. Yeah. Even Disney. You know, all the companies it bought over the last 15 years, Pixar, everything, going down the tubes. And people call it woke. It's not woke. It's not woke. It's homosexual. It's going down the tube because it's homosexual, not woke. Has nothing to do with tolerance. No, it has to do with being gay. And whether or not you want to be gay and have sex with a gay man who puts on lipstick and everything. Yeah, when it comes down to it, no, you don't. You don't want to. It's just that you tolerated it. And that's how far it got. These people think that they've already made it and that you agree with them. You agree with them, but you don't. And that's what's turning around. Yeah. And no expectation for any of this to happen. It's all happening because of me. Yeah. Other things are happening. Vegetation, vegetarianism, people of vegetarian, vegan diet. They don't want to be vegans anymore. They're getting too sick, too weak. The doctor's telling them, you know, you need to eat some fish. Try eating fish or something. And they do. Their life changes dramatically overnight. And they're no longer vegan. People who were vegan kings on YouTube for years, everybody went to them, are really freaking out. Because they can't be a vegan. Can't be a vegan. It kills them. What about all these people with tattoos? Obviously, it doesn't bother them, does it? It doesn't bother them. Why should it bother them? I mean, they're so prideful, right? Very proud of their tattoo. All the way up the arm, all the way around the face, all the way on the back, all the way in the chest. Yeah. Would they regret it? Is it possible we could reach a time where vegans can't be vegans because it's unnatural? And people with tattoos can't have tattoos because God said it's a sin. You cannot put a tattoo on your skin. It's in the Bible, folks. One book, just one book, you know, really illustrates a whole lot of things. So I had I thought I had a lot of videos here that were involved with like 5 or 6 people that are getting rid of their tattoos. And they were what happened was that they're 20 years old. And you know, when you're 20 years old, you're going to live forever. And you get lots of crazy ideas. You know, you paint your hair purple, green, red, all over the place. You wear all white with black eyelash and everything, you know, be goth. You know, that happens when you're 20. Yeah. And, you know, so you go through this 20-year-old cycle. Yeah, and you can wash goth off. And you're back. But when we got into tattoos, those 20-year-olds went crazy. They put them on their arms from their wrist all the way up to their shoulder, and then worked on the other arm. And their chest. And when they did that, they became people who recruited other people to go get tattoos, because they looked up to them as having so much will and strength and courage to get a tattoo.
Really dislikes being a heavily tattooed person, and how now she's in her late 20s, she could have never imagined disliking something that was so central to her identity for so long.
I kind of hate being a tattooed person, and I never thought I'd be someone saying that, because it's just been such a huge part of my life and a part of my interests and a part of my identity for so long that it's come as such a shock to me to have this realization as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, reality sinks in after a while. When you're 18 years old, you're having one thought. When you're around 7 or 8 or 9, you could think you're gay. And when you're around 14 or 15, you might act it out. But by the time you turn 25 to 30, if you haven't fallen into a gay relationship that makes you committed being gay, it goes away. 80% of the time it goes away. People who think that they're transgender go through a phase, and it lasts about 3 to 5 years. But as they get older, it goes away. It just simply isn't there. Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with hormone change, and they don't know how to adapt. And the system of people are out there to take advantage while you're in your weak state. So they say, take hormones, take this and that. You're not really a boy. You haven't made that decision yet. No puberty yet. You don't have masculine tendencies, so you probably have feminine tendencies. But that's only because you're 14 years old. But you don't know that. They do. The ones telling you. They know the truth, and they know they have to get you to agree and take on, you know, pronouns and clothing change and ways of speaking and everything. Because you're making an agreement with demonic people who have fallen completely out of grace. And it's the same thing with people who are obsessed in the vegan belief system. Here's the lady here that this
Don't
is a lady
believe
that,
in regret.
is also
I do
tattoos.
have one giant regret in my life, and that is getting all of these tattoos on my arm. Just saying that, just saying that out loud, I've been holding that in for so long. So just saying that out loud feels so good to let that go.
There are so many people who are in this boat, who have done tattoos, who have joined the vegan belief system, who have taken on Satanism, who believe that they're homosexual, who people who believe they're Zionists and they have to live in Israel no matter what anybody says. Yeah. People who are Moonies, people who are all kinds of crazy ass things led by insanity because we have weaknesses. Yeah. When vegan, you know, they don't change until they're about ready to die. They got headaches. They're always bloated. Always bloated. They got bowel problems. They cannot digest food. They're missing vitamin D and B12 and A and many things, because while you're trying to eat your vegan food and the vitamins that you're taking to supplement, your body's not taking in those things. You eat a carrot, your body only takes 1% of the vitamin A out of that carrot because it just simply can't break it down because there's too much fiber. But you don't know this. Nature is another thing. We're being misled to not be natural anymore.
Health has done like a complete 180 in the past couple of months, and things have improved that I never even thought could improve. Mental clarity and focus was one of my biggest things that I had an issue with when I was vegan, and now it's like so effortless. It's a miracle diet when I talk about it, and people probably don't believe me, but again, like, you don't have to. I'm the one experiencing these things, so it really only matters to me at the end of the day. But I don't really get pain anymore when my period starts. I maybe get slight cramps, but I don't really experience PMS anywhere near as much as I did beforehand. I barely get bloated anymore. Like, it's not like a superhuman diet either. Like, I still experience these human things. Like, my skin still breaks out a tiny bit still sometimes, but I still get a little bloated sometimes from eating. I'm not saying that I never do, but that's been another thing that has gotten significantly better. When I was vegan, I always had this like unnaturally distended stomach, especially like my lower, my stomach area, my lower stomach, that was always bloated, like unnaturally bloated. It always looked like to me. That's also completely went back to normal, like to the way that my body is ideally supposed to look. Like, I wake up and I have like a flat stomach, and I know some people don't have a flat stomach, but just being a lean person, that's the way I should probably look in the morning. What else? So again, vegans could probably argue that I was just lazy with this one, but this isn't something else that significantly changed. I always would lack the motivation to organize and clean and like get things done that I knew I needed to do. I was like a chronic procrastinator. And all of a sudden, especially since I started having beef tallow, those things that I found, like those tasks that I found to be so daunting, are so effortless to me now. Like, I just do them. I don't even think about it. I just do them and get them done. If I know that there's cleaning that has to get done or organizing, 9 times out of 10, I just do it, unless there's something else that's more important that needs to get done at that moment. I used to put things off, like my apartment. My fiance is very meticulous with cleaning, so it's always been like fairly clean, but there were just certain things that just sat there and really should have been organized and clean and whatnot, but they just didn't because I wasn't making the effort to do it myself. And now, like, our apartment is like meticulously organized and clean, like, compared to the way it was. So that's also been a very positive benefit that I've experienced, because an organized environment around you and a clean environment reflects like a clean and organized mental state, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. It's natural. It's natural. Yeah. And I teach about Buddhism, I teach about Christianity, I teach about God. Yeah. And one of the reasons I teach about Buddhism is because people are unaware of the reality of our nature as a holy being. That we have within us, what's known as a bodhisattva, the influence of our angel that we are, our soul. And it's a spark of light inside of our atoms. And it's shielded by darkness, by hate, by anger, by misuse of mind and emotions and gossip. All the vices that we carry out causes our atoms to block God from us. And inside of our atoms is God. Yeah. So when we choose, when we choose to follow God, yeah, know that homosexuality is a sin. That if you're in a relationship, you're committed. If you're doing anything with someone, you're honest. Yeah, you're truthful. The things you say you're going to do, you do. You follow through. You know, because your words aren't empty. They hold merit and character. You built that character over time. And that's why I'm teaching, so that I can help you, since you're not reading the Bible and you don't have the teaching premise that you should have. I'm giving you that premise. You know, your diet, you know, your politics, your economics, your processes. You know, just how do you deal with this life? You know, I lay out pretty much everything. I tell you things that you need to be aware of, so you don't choose to do that. And you follow choices that I'm asking you to follow, because it will lead you to nature, because you're not going against nature. And God lays these things out as called a sin. A sin. Because God created everything and instilled everything with a locked-in law. Yeah? An apple is an apple. Yeah? A certain kind of tree is a certain kind of tree. Every person is an individual, has its own thumbprint, its own earprint. Very unique. Absolutely unique. And so is that light inside your atom. It's yours. It's who you are. But it's called a bodhisattva. It's called a bodhisattva. Yeah. And that's the beginning of your awakening spiritual reality. And we can, you know, it's just that we don't know the science. We don't know the science. And that's what Buddha was for. Buddha helped to illustrate the science through the intellectual mind, because the intellectual mind is what was blocking the truth of nature, blocking the ability to be patient, blocking the ability to gain these meritorious virtues that is required by not doing sinful acts. Yeah. And there's a relationship between us and God all the time. And that if we choose and we live in a holy state and meditate and become sensitive, not gossip and do the things that would make us insensitive, then we actually, through our words and our actions, we are led to be Christians, Christ-like. That's the Bodhisattva. And when we're really strong, when we live life after life, because the truth of Buddhism is that we reincarnate. This isn't a single life. But the purpose of life is to reincarnate and make it a better life next time. Yeah? It's like you've given a job. Now you're appearing on the job. You've been incarnated. You're here. God's made up a life for you to live. You need to live it. And do your best during that life. And you will do your job. You don't know what it is. God's presented it to you in a day-to-day reality, because God is a creator. Yeah? Just need to calm down and be of service. And as that goes on, and you become a calmer person, a kinder person, a gentler person, person who takes time to meditate, person who takes time to mindfulness, prayer, yeah, realize wrong and change it, yeah, benefit from your changes, yeah, then that changes you in the evolution of a bodhisattva. Your service is so great. It's wondrous. You know, so every time you incarnate, you're given the opportunity to be more and more of service. And you're a saint. And that's how sainthood is attained. It's not in one life. It's through many lives. And every life we get is a blessing. And we have to take the opportunity to do the right thing, because it was given to us as a gift. And our life is over with because of God. God tells us this is it. You know, we just lose our life. It's no longer we're here. You know, but then we reincarnate, and God puts another plan in our midst. But we have no idea what that is. Yeah? It's God doing that. Our innocence, our ability to be in service to God, no matter what this condition is, that's our purpose. And it keeps going. We could be in the government, we could be a man and a wife with children. All those things are responsibilities that God gives us to live out our life. Having a family, having a wife, doing that, imagine that can consume a good half of your life. Your job, your work, your service can consume half of your life. You know? And the other half is the not ability to become rich or the ability to hoard and have the biggest house and so many houses on the block and own everything. No. It's to become more spiritual. To focus more on the integration of your soul as you get older and wiser, more caring, more sharing, more considerate. Yeah, and then you leave your body. You know, a saint, so clean and so upright and so good. And when you come back, you're a child that is there in benefit to the earth and benefit to everyone. And your ability to make choices and not have any gay influence or anybody rape you or molest you, because you will stop it. I've had so many men try and molest me when I was a kid. So many men. Yeah, but I stopped it. I talked to them, told them straight up, you're not doing this. You can't force it on me. You're going to talk me into it. You're evil. You're evil. You have to cope with that. And they all broke down and cried and walked away. You know, so you can do it too. It's not just because it's me saying these things. We all have to stand up and say the things we have to say that we know is wrong so we can help other people become Christians. They do not know it's wrong. You have had a better life. Previous life, you had a better life. And you have the strength and courage and purity to say things that would help other people in a major dramatic way. You're not going to become a vegan. You're not becoming a lesbian. You're not going to become a homosexual. You're going to be a good person, yeah, who is not into any of that and will help other people make sure that they are protected, and you're aware of the fact that every homosexual is, by chance, a pedophile. So you don't leave them with kids. You don't hire them in schools. You don't put them in gyms. You don't put them in processes where a child is in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. You do not put a homosexual person in that process. Your temptation, you're just being stupid as could be. And don't be stupid. Be aware, and I'm trying to help you be aware. It's not us being hateful, prejudiced, or judgmental. It's truth. Yeah. And they are not only the only major group of pedophiles, yeah, but they're also the people who do most of the killing. Most mass murderers who kill more than 10 people, kill, maim, destroy, eat, all of that are homosexuals. I could show you a list of hundreds of well-known, yeah, homosexuals who are ravenous in their homosexual appetite and leads to killing. The joy of killing, the joy of murder, the joy of blood, the joy of seeing a person die and suffer. That's part of the homosexual energetic reality. It's just like them becoming a transgender. How far do you have to hate women to do such a thing? To be drag, how far do you have to hate women to do such a thing? Yeah, to be homosexual and then be a person who's on the catwalk for models, and you're the person who's designing all the clothes for the models. So now you're going to destroy all the models and have them not eat, be real skinny, control their lifestyle, because you're a demon in charge of women. A homosexual who hates women is in charge of women, telling them to wear high heels, wear makeup in this way, and to be the model for design. Yeah. Imagine, it's not them that's getting the energy, it's the homosexual. And they're on display, being used by the homosexual. And you have no idea. And almost in every case, these girls are used for trafficking, sex trafficking. Models are used for sex trafficking. It's a very common reality, and we're all finding out about it. And it's gay people who do sex trafficking. So don't befriend a gay person. If you have a gay neighbor, let them know you don't want them to come over. Let them know they cannot talk to your kids. Let them know there is no private time for them and your family ever. Let them know that you are straight. You are anti-gay. You are not an ally. You won't carry their flag. You won't hate them. But you will protect your children from them. You'll be the strong, the capable, the willing person who will stand up knowing that homosexuals are pedophiles. They don't come from another group of human beings. They're pedophiles. And it's the worst thing you can imagine. They don't just grab little boys, they grab girls, they grab children, and they kill them. There are hundreds of thousands of missing children. So in order to awaken your soul, in order for you to awaken your bodhisattva, there's a whole lot of things you got to do. You have to make sure that you eat right. Yeah. Because if a manufacturing company is doing really evil, making cottonseed oil, all these different things, telling you it's the healthiest thing, buying off doctors and scientists to get it into the market, evil. It's the same as a homosexual trying to get your child to become gay. They're leading you. They're leading you with lies. Yeah. Crisco is not. It's not lard. And lard is good for you. Butter is good for you. Yeah. Fish and steak is good for you. It just has to be natural. All things need to be natural. Anything that's been in production is not natural. It's going to go through a heating process, a storage process, things that you have no idea is real. And you're eating it. And it kills you. It gives you a heart attack, gives you diabetes, obesity, destroys your hormone structure. Men become girls, girls become men. In order to get your bodhisattva right, healer, heal thyself. Yeah, that's your bodhisattva, very first phase. Heal thyself. Yeah. It's not a holy roller thing. Heal thyself. Stay away from gay people. Heal thyself. Eat right. Heal thyself. Drink pure water. Don't drink Coca-Cola. Drink tea or water or something of that nature. Heal thyself. Choose everything that goes into you. Know that every chemical name is not good. Don't put it into you. Yeah. We'll find out later whether or not some of these things are good, but what you're going to find is what comes naturally. What comes naturally is good. It's good. Because God created it. And God created a system that we followed for hundreds of thousands of years. If you look at the ancient paintings on the wall, they're hunting. It's the life of mankind. It's all of our lives, all the way up to the 1800s. Yeah. And then we started getting processed food and bakeries and all kinds of English muffins and you name it. Yeah. So it's not about, just a religious dogma or a religious fanatical, I've got to be religious in order to gain spirituality. You have to heal yourself. You have to heal yourself. You have to meditate. You have to be mindful. You have to attend my classes. Open your mind. Learn. I'm not going to lead you astray. I'm going to tell you the truth. These are all scientific, verifiable circumstances that I'm giving you information on. That you must put it into your life. Because you're seeking to be spiritual. And you think it's going to happen through some metaphysical sense. And it's not. It's going to happen by choices. If you choose to be gay, you're not going to be spiritual. If you choose to be vegan, you are not going to be spiritual. And you don't know why. Because you're too ignorant. So you need a teacher, Jesus the Christ. The Bible is a good start, but it's misinterpreted. So I'm here. And I'm laying out everything way beyond the Bible. So you can get a lot to be able to make discerned understanding with discernment and discrimination. Make a choice. Yeah. But you need this information. You need to know what other people are going through. You need to know the truth of Palestine. What is a Zionist? Why are gay people like this? Where do pedophiles come from? Everybody can be a pedophile? No. It's a mental illness about homosexuality. And we need to dig into it and close it up. End it. There are none. I do have a thing here where science had done this really long research recently and came up with the fact that there are no genes that let people know that they're gay or not. Yeah, I don't. Let's see, nope. Okay, well, I'll get it for you next time I teach. So let's focus on a meditation right now. And what I'm recommending now, because of the processes that things are in, I have lots of pujas. Yeah. And the one that I am recommending right now that we listen to is A Soul I Walk on Earth. So we're going to do that meditation and just relax. Yeah. So I recommend that people, while you're sleeping, you listen to this. Yeah. When you listen to it, you'll hear a part of it where it talks about the will of God moves the world, and you'll hear about the relationship of the new group of world servers and the healing of humanity by the incarnation of the new world servers, new group of world servers. And this is everybody who's alive right now. And they're all being moved by the fact that I'm alive and that I'm teaching. And not everybody's picking up on YouTube and listening, but it's going out and it's affecting humanity. So if you listen to my pujas, they go in line with the circumstances of the world. Yeah. So, just listen closely, and if you have it in the background at night while you're sleeping, that helps. in process of you understanding, because these words are, they go beyond you quickly. Yeah, and so listening to it frequently is very helpful. Yeah. So let's just relax. So we're all going to do Om. When I start the Om, everybody joins in. Do it loud enough to resonate. Feel it.
I am a messenger of light. I am a pilgrim on the way of love. I do not walk alone, but I know myself as one with all great souls, and one with them in service. Their strength is mine. This strength I claim. My strength is theirs, and this I freely give. A soul, I walk on earth. I represent the One. The will of God moves the world. The past has gone. I am that past. It makes me what I am. The future comes. I also am the coming destiny, and therefore I am that. The present flows from out the past. The future colors that which is. I make the future also by my present knowledge of the past and the beauty of the present. And therefore I am that I am. radius of the world of glamour, I take my place, and there I stand. Before the open door that just reveals a different lighted way, I take my stand. Before the presence, I will take my place, and there will firmly stand. And stand I see. Love is the incentive of our aspiration on the path. Love is the substance of our living in the world. Love is the light and the light of freedom from all creatures. Love pulses through the universe in a divine rhythm. Love is the consciousness of God. May the holy ones whose disciple I am show me the light I seek. May all mankind, may all humanity of all knowledge, may all light on earth make manifest the soul in all things, all life. I invoke the radiant golden sun to manifest the thread of the soul into the kingdoms of the elementals, into the kingdoms of the vegetables, the animals, into the astral plane. I invoke all humanity to become the caretakers of the kingdom of God. I invoke the will of God as the soul. I stand before the judgment seat of my soul. I am that soul. All love and light am I. I serve the world and lose myself in service. This is my life, and this is the way that I will tread until the day be with us all. the awakening in the consciousness of humanity, the family of humanity, to bring forth points of energy within themselves, inaugurating certain new techniques in work and in modes of communication. I invoke the group of telepathic communicators. I invoke the group of trained observers. I invoke the group of magnetic healers. I invoke the group of the educators of this new age. I invoke the group of political organizers. I invoke the group of the workers in the field of religion. I invoke the group of scientific servers. I invoke the group of psychologists. I invoke the group of financiers and economists. I invoke all creative workers as the new group. I invoke the externalization of the inner existing of conditions within these groups through the manifestation and the externalization of the avatar. Okay, just relax. All right, so I recommend you take a different stance in relationship to Israel, that you look at it as apartheid, that you look for understanding that it's apartheid, that you look for the reality that Trump was involved in the process Israel's in today, that his son-in-law is the one calling the shots to kill the Palestinians, and that he himself is thought to be the reappearance of God himself on earth, and the king of Israel, which they believe to be, God. So these Zionists have gone in league with Trump, and Trump is the Antichrist. He's trying to destroy America. Now he's trying to destroy Israel and the world, because according to that, if you study this, you'll see that at the final days, a nuclear war takes place via Israel, Iran, Iraq, all these different places around that location. Even today, the United States military sent a aircraft carrier and another ship to that location, and not as support to Palestine, but as a possibility that there'd be nuclear war outside defending Israel. Nuclear war against anybody who defended Palestinians. So, be aware. Trump may be in jail any day, and that may be closed up. The courts may come in and stop Israel from doing the illegal process of stealing children, which they're doing every day, every night. They've been doing this now for over 5 years. Stealing children, an average of 500 a year, and putting them in prison. I'm going to show the whole thing next week. I'm going to show you all about that. That all that's been going on since the Jerusalem takeover of the capital, and the ending Palestinian reality of any kind. So take in deep consideration that Jesus was born in Palestine, and there are no Christians there. They've been pushed away, and I'm going to show you that too. Only 1,000 Christians in Palestine. Palestine. It should be, and it used to be, majority Christians. Just 5 years ago, it was majority Christians. So really, take heed to what I'm saying on every level. Don't be vegetarian. Don't get a tattoo. Don't hang out with homosexuals. Don't allow your kid to go to a school where the teachers are gay. Find out if they're gay. Go in, just ask the question, are you gay? You're going to be my son's teacher. Are you gay? Why is there a gay flag in here?
Do you have gay videos and gay books, anything like that in this school? Do you? Really? Where? I'd like to see them. Before my kids do. You know, this is how I behave in my home. This is how I want my kids to be protected when they step out of the house. Everybody should be with this set of mindset to protect the kids. Don't groom them with these mentally ill people. There's only two genders. The third gender is mental illness. Remember that. Okay, enjoy.